On a chilly, rainy morning, Emma embarked on her first day as a janitor at the imposing financial firm where her mother had once worked as a respected manager. Emma often recalled her mother's stories of achievement and recognition until the day everything came crashing down. Hannah, Emma's mother, had been known for her integrity and dedication. But one day, a baseless accusation of embezzlement ruined her career. Without any concrete proof or fair investigation, Hannah was fired, humiliated, and stripped of her rights. The injustice weighed heavily on her, sending her into a downward spiral of hardship. The family, once secure and content, was now faced with uncertainty and financial struggles. As a child, Emma watched helplessly as her mother struggled to find a new job, only to be shadowed by the false accusation. Doors kept closing, and Hannah's spirit grew weaker until she fell ill, exhausted and broken. Emma grew up with a single goal: to clear her mother's name and restore the dignity that had been unjustly taken from her. Every day was a challenge. She studied late into the night, saved every cent, and nurtured a dream that seemed distant, yet possible. When Emma was old enough, she decided to take her first step by joining that same company, no matter the role. It felt like entering the battlefield where her mother had been wronged, determined to rewrite her family's story. With memories of her mother in her heart and a burning determination, Emma walked through the company's doors as a janitor. What seemed like a modest role to others, Emma saw as an opportunity, a chance to rebuild. She knew she had to start from the bottom, but she was ready to do whatever it took. As she cleaned the offices and hallways, Emma could feel her mother's presence, as if her mother were silently urging her forward. Day after day, she worked tirelessly, keeping alive the flame of hope and justice. Emma's routine was grueling, but she faced it with unwavering resolve. Her janitor's uniform hid her brilliance, but her eyes reflected an unyielding fire. Each day, she began her work before sunrise, quietly moving through the halls, tidying up before the executives arrived. Dirty floors, trash, and dust were her daily challenges, but she tackled them with the determination of a warrior. While cleaning, Emma observed. She listened in on conversations, memorized discarded reports, and during breaks, she studied economics books. Her colleagues found it odd that a janitor carried around a Harvard economics textbook, but Emma paid no mind to their curious glances or whispered comments. She had a clear goal and a promise to fulfill. Her mother's memory was both her greatest inspiration and burden. Emma recalled the nights when Hannah, worn out from her struggles, would tell her that education was the key to changing the world. These words echoed in Emma's mind as she scrubbed the floors and polished glass. Emma knew that to right the wrong done to her mother, she had to become an expert in the very field her mother had been wrongly accused of failing in. Her nights were spent studying. A scholarship recipient at one of the world's top universities, Emma attended online classes, watched lectures late into the night, often falling asleep over her textbooks. It was exhausting, but Emma never complained. Every lost hour of sleep brought her one step closer to her goal. Her work at the company, though exhausting, was also a form of training. Every task completed to perfection, every detail she noticed, was part of a larger plan. Emma wasn't just learning to clean, she was learning discipline, perseverance, and resilience. She saw herself as a spy in enemy territory, soaking in every detail while waiting for the right moment to act. The executives passed by her, unaware of her watchful eyes. She knew who the decision-makers were, who could help or hinder her future. Over time, Emma's confidence grew. She knew that an opportunity would come, and when it did, she would be ready to seize it. Her life was a delicate balance between two worlds, the unnoticed janitor and the brilliant student. Silently, Emma pressed on, day after day, inching closer to the moment when she could demand the justice she had long sought. The city lights twinkled outside as Emma sat in her small room, buried in her studies. The contrast between her daytime work and her nights of intense learning was stark. By day, she was invisible, just another janitor in the company's vast halls. But by night, Emma transformed into a driven student, immersing herself in knowledge that would one day make her an expert in economics. Few knew it, but Emma had earned a scholarship to Cambridge University, one of the most prestigious institutions in the world. Her academic performance was exceptional, and her professors described her as a prodigy. She tackled complex theories, solved intricate problems, and demonstrated a deep understanding of economic principles. Every class she attended, every book she read, built the foundation for the future she envisioned. At the company, Emma was more than just a janitor. She was a keen observer, absorbing every detail of the company's operations, discussions, and decisions. She saw things others missed, the flaws in the systems, the missed opportunities, the poor strategies. Her mind was constantly working, connecting ideas, creating solutions, and devising plans. Unbeknownst to everyone, Emma was preparing for something monumental. Weekends were dedicated to research, financial analysis, and market simulations. Emma used every free moment to deepen her understanding. She built models, tested theories, and wrote articles that could easily be published in academic journals. Her brilliance shone, though it remained hidden from view. Emma had access to every part of the company, and she made the most of it. She listened intently to executives' conversations, not out of curiosity, but as a calculated strategy. She positioned herself in quiet corners to gather crucial information about the company's financial status. Emma knew the company was struggling, but she also saw its potential for recovery. In her mind, she began to draft a plan, one that could not only save the company but also redeem her mother's reputation. Emma was becoming a silent expert, a strategist working in plain sight. While others slept, she charted a path to redemption, a path that would eventually lead her to confront those who had wronged her mother and prove that true talent could never be erased by a false accusation. Her hidden potential was ready to explode like a volcano building pressure for an eruption. Emma knew the time was coming, the moment when she would show the world what she was capable of. When that time arrived, she would rise, not only for herself but for the injustice her mother had endured. Word spread quickly through the company. An emergency meeting had been called to discuss the company's future. The firm was on the verge of financial collapse, and executives were preparing to make drastic decisions. Emma, always alert, recognized that this was the opportunity she had been waiting for. The night before the meeting, Emma barely slept. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with excitement. She spent hours reviewing her notes, refining her charts, and polishing her presentation. Every detail was meticulously prepared. Emma knew this was her one shot to transform everything, and she was resolute not to squander it. On the day of the meeting, she donned her cleaning uniform for the final time. Inside her backpack, she carried a sleek suit and a folder filled with crucial documents. She entered the cleaning room as usual, but when she stepped out, she had undergone a complete transformation. Staring into the bathroom mirror, she saw a confident, determined woman, ready to confront what lay ahead. The meeting began in a tense silence. Executives, their faces drawn and worried, discussed possible layoffs and closures. The tone was serious, the atmosphere thick with unease. It was during this heavy moment that Emma walked into the room, interrupting the conversation. All eyes turned toward the young woman who dared to enter their exclusive space. "Excuse me," she said with quiet authority, "but I have something that might help." A stunned silence followed, soon replaced by murmurs. The CEO, both surprised and slightly annoyed, granted Emma the floor, perhaps out of curiosity more than anything else. Emma approached the projector, hooked up her laptop, and began her presentation with clarity and poise. She meticulously walked them through the company's financial situation, highlighting mistakes the executives had overlooked. Each slide was filled with charts, in-depth analyses, and innovative suggestions. She outlined market opportunities, investment strategies, and smart cuts that could save the company without jeopardizing jobs. The executives' expressions shifted, skepticism gave way to surprise, and eventually, admiration. The young woman, who they had once dismissed, demonstrated a deeper understanding and vision than any of them had shown. Her voice was firm, filled with a passion that went beyond knowledge. It was driven by a higher purpose. Emma concluded her presentation with a comprehensive plan to pull the company from its crisis and set it on a path of sustainable growth. The room fell silent, each executive stunned, struggling to grasp what had just unfolded. And then, Emma made her final revelation. "My name is Emma," she said, her voice steady. "I am the daughter of Hannah, the former finance manager you unjustly fired. The same woman who gave everything to this company and was treated with cruelty and disregard." Her words reverberated through the room like a thunderclap. Some executives lowered their heads, clearly guilty. Others were taken aback. Emma, maintaining her composure, continued, "This strategy is mine, but it comes at a cost. I demand you pay back 3 times the amount my mother lost when she was let go, and I want justice for her name." With that, she closed her laptop, tucked the folder under her arm, and walked out of the room, leaving the executives speechless. There was a sense of righteous vengeance in her stride. Not only had she displayed her capabilities, but she had also reclaimed her mother's dignity and legacy. The meeting room remained silent for several long minutes after Emma's departure. The executives exchanged glances, still processing the magnitude of what had just occurred. The young cleaner had presented the most viable solution they had ever heard, but her revelation left them uncomfortable and ashamed. As Emma descended the elevator, she took a deep breath, trying to calm the adrenaline still coursing through her. She knew this was the turning point. Her strategy, which she had painstakingly perfected, was now in the hands of those who needed it, but not yet theirs to command. Later, in a quiet cafe across town, Emma sipped her tea, her mind still racing with thoughts of the meeting. With each sip, she remembered her mother, the struggles, the sleepless nights. Today, she would close a chapter, and emotions swirled within her. At the company, the executives finally shook off their initial shock and began discussing the situation. Some were still unsure, but most recognized the brilliance of Emma's approach. The CEO, a pragmatic man, knew they couldn't overlook what had just transpired. He called for another meeting, this time to make a final decision. Hours later, Emma's phone rang. It was the company, asking her to return for further discussions. She took a deep breath, finished her tea, and prepared herself for what was to come. Upon her arrival, she was greeted with an air of formality she hadn't expected. Gone were the looks of disdain and indifference. They were replaced with expressions of respect and curiosity. In the CEO's grand office, a table full of executives awaited her. The CEO began the conversation by thanking her for her brilliant presentation and acknowledging the wrong done to her mother. He spoke of the need to amend past mistakes and approach the future with a fresh perspective. "Emma," he said solemnly, "we have decided to implement your strategy, and we are prepared to meet the price you set." Emma remained composed, though her heart raced. She listened intently as the CEO continued, explaining that not only would they pay the requested amount, but they also wanted to offer her a significant role within the company, one of partnership and strategic advisory. "We know that your vision and passion are exactly what we need to guide this company forward," the CEO said, "and we intend to apologize, not just with words, but with actions." Emma nodded in acceptance, but inside, she felt a wave of gratitude and relief. Her sacrifices, her fight, had finally paid off. As the meeting ended, Emma walked out of the office with a profound sense of triumph. The young woman who had once walked unnoticed through the company's halls was now viewed as its savior, the brilliant strategist who had steered the company back from the brink. Her journey, filled with struggle and determination, had finally reached its turning point. The days that followed were marked by intense transformation. Emma traded her cleaning uniform for sophisticated attire, symbols of her new role. Yet the real change was internal. She approached her new responsibilities with the same humility and dedication she had shown in her old job. But now her influence and impact were far-reaching. The company immediately began to implement Emma's strategy. Every step was executed with precision, and results began to emerge faster than anticipated. Operations became more streamlined, markets responded positively, and employee morale, once at rock bottom, started to rise. The company, once on the edge of collapse, was now on a solid path toward recovery and growth. But for Emma, the most significant victory wasn't the numbers or the newfound responsibilities, it was the respect she had earned. From the top executives to the cleaning staff, everyone now saw her as a beacon of courage, intelligence, and integrity. Her mother's story spread, and many expressed their support and sorrow for the way she had been treated. Later that same evening, Emma returned home. In her childhood room, where she still kept mementos of her mother, Emma placed Hannah's photo on the table. Tears filled her eyes, but a serene smile spread across her face. "I did it, Mom. For us. For you." Her mother's image seemed to shine with pride and love, as though saying that justice had finally been done. In that moment, Emma felt she had restored her mother's honor and closed the painful chapter, opening a new one filled with hope and achievement. Emma's story wasn't just about vengeance, it was a tale of redemption, bravery, and an enduring love that overcame adversity. She became not only a leader but a symbol of strength and resilience for all who knew her journey. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay amazed.